hello again. Now, I'd like you to use your imaginations for this particular video, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because I want you to imagine that right to my left here, is that right? Right to my left? I mean, not right, at my left. At my left here, which is actually your right. Fucking hell. Over here, anyway. In this position here is a room. And this room, it's a bloody big room, this is. This room is absolutely packed to the fricking rafters with evidence of many characters throughout history, historical big name characters in this room. Evidences scholarly, agreed upon, and scientifically accepted in often cases. Yeah, my grammar just gets fucking better and better, doesn't it? But in this room is all this shit. Okay, loads of it to prove that many of these people existed. Not all characters throughout history, by the way. Some are a bit dubious, but you know that is in here. It covers a whole fucking countries of all over the world, lots of things. Anyway, right, shall I open the door? No, actually I won't open the door. I'll tell you why. Because if I open this door, this room is so bloody packed that if I open it, all the shit's going to fall on the floor and it's going to take too much tidying up. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm just going to very quickly show you some of the pieces of evidence that's actually in this room. Okay, let's start with this. Now, this here is not Napoleon Bonaparte. It is, in fact, a picture of Napoleon Bonaparte. Thank you, Kent Hovind, for that most wonderful joke. Now, here is a hat which belonged to Mr. Bonaparte, and we know this for lots of reasons. Of course, we don't need this hat to prove that Napoleon existed. We have tons of other evidence in museums, etc., that does that job quite nicely for us. But it is nice to have the hat all the same. Now, over here we have a picture of King Henry VIII, who we know existed for countless reasons that I won't bore you with here, and here's some armour that belonged to the man. Of course, in addition to this, we have his jewellery and all kinds of tat and historical documentation that solidifies the evidence for the existence of the man. Moving on to this rather splendid item here, this is, of course, the Bayeux tapestry, which, as you know, was created by Mr. and Mrs. Bayeux of Tapestry Street, Normandy, I think. This amazing piece of work conclusively proves the existence of Mr. and Mrs. Bayeux and also adds to the mountain of proof that the Battle of Hastings took place and that the characters depicted on the tapestry did indeed exist. And finally, for now, let me just show you this chair, because this is a chair that once belonged to and was indeed used by Tutankhamun, proving that Tutankhamun was either a midget or that he used this chair as a child. I go for the latter myself. We, of course, have tons of evidence and artifacts and documents that add weight to the existence of Tutankhamun. What am I saying? We even have Tutankhamun himself. You can't say fairer than that. Now, wasn't that interesting? But let me introduce you to a second room. Let me introduce you to room number 2. This room here. I think you might know where this is heading now, because this room here contains 4,000 years' worth of accredited, scholarly attested to and agreed upon proofs, and also scientifical proofs. Scientifical? What the bleeding hell is that? But the kind of proof that gets things into museums, the kind of proof that is going to prove that all, if not just any of the biblical characters, the main biblical characters from the Bible actually existed. I'm not talking about your piddling little kings and your little governors and people like this. I'm talking about the heroes and the villains of the plot. I'm talking about the people who spoke to God and people who had involvement in miracles and things like this. I'm talking about Adam and Eve and Noah and Abraham and Jacob and Isaac and Newton, forget that last fella, and Moses and fucking Joshua and Samson and Delilah and Solomon, Grundy and Jonah and his fucking whale. It's all in this room, ladies and gentlemen. Dare we open the door? Dare we open it? Let's see what happens. Well, fuck me, it's empty. There isn't a fucking hair. There isn't a fucking toenail clipping. There isn't a teacup, an egg cup. There isn't a fucking thimble's worth of bloody information in this freaking room. This is a void. It's a vacuum. This is a black hole of bloody evidence, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing in this fucking room. And when I say nothing, I mean fucking nothing. There is nada, zip, shit all, nothing. Don't you find this a little bit bewildering, Mr. and Mrs. Fundy? Don't you find it a little bit fucking bewildering that this room here is packed to the freaking rafters and, you know, it's bursting to get out, and this room here contains Fucking nothing! Absolutely nothing! I rest my freaking case. Actually, I don't quite rest my case there, because occasionally you'll get people come up with other kinds of evidences. You know, things like, but we found this chariot wheel, and we found it in the Red Sea. Huh? Red Sea? Chariot wheel? Red Sea? See the through line? Connect the dots, 2 and 2 together? You know what that equals, don't you? Yeah, 740 fucking 6 according to you. I mean, what kind of bloody evidence is that? You know, this is the kind of level of evidence that turns up on programs like Creation in the 21st Century with Carl. Boring, freaking bore. Dr. Carl bloody bore, mind you. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, Doctor Who's got more claims to a doctorate than this bloody twat. You know, this is the same level of evidence that little bands of people occasionally turn up in England with to try and prove the legend of King Arthur. You know, they'll turn up and they'll say things like, we found a table. No. And we found a table in Cornwall. No. And it was a round table. No. And well, that's it. Get the fuck out of here. You're trying to tell me that the legend of King Arthur is true because you found a round fucking table in Cornwall? That's like me trying to prove to you that Robert the Bruce existed because somebody once found a bloody cobweb in a cave on Rathlin Island. What kind of bloody evidence is that? I mean, we do know that Robert the Bruce existed as it happens, but not for that bloody reason. We do require a little bit more evidence than that. Oh, I rest my bloody case again. Now, just to finish off with here, there is one other kind of proof that people do often cite, and that is, of course, the Bible itself. They'll say, hang on a minute, doesn't the Bible prove that these characters existed? Well, no, it bloody well doesn't. I mean, the only thing the Bible proves is that the Bible was bloody written. That's it. You know, and as long as this room remains completely and utterly bloody empty and completely devoid of any kind of scientifically or scholastically agreed upon proofs and stuff in museums that says that these characters existed, then we are right to be skeptical as to the existence of these characters. As far as I'm concerned, as long as this room remains empty, then the Bible in my house is going to remain on exactly the same shelf as this book here, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. In fact, I'd say that much of the Bible belongs 20,000 leagues under the sea.